So you're talking. Now, how is the voice now? Is it better, please? Is the voice, are you able to hear better? Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for pointing it out. So we were talking, do anything that in this universe that is changing, that changes something which is in one form today and transforms into another form tomorrow, that is impermanent. And that which remains unchanged, which is imperishable, which is eternal, that is our Atma or our soul. And no one can bring about the destruction of this Atma or the soul. So in the next verse of number 18 of chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagwan Shree Krishna tells Arjuna that, this physical body will die anyway. This is impermanent. It could be now or it could be later. It's just a matter of time. But that which does not die, jo marta nahi, which is indestructible, that is our Atma. That doesn't die. So why should you lament? Why should you be so grieved? Arjun is in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and when he sees his near and dear ones against whom he has to fight, and he is grieving because he will have to kill his own near and dear ones. That is the cause of his grief. So Bhagwan Shree Krishna says that there is nothing to lament about it. That's why the important thing is that Arjun must perform his duty as a Kshatriya warrior. He must perform his dharma. His dharma as a Kshatriya warrior is to fight this war of righteousness, in order to protect dharma. That is his, right. That is his dharma. That is his duty. So today we shall be going very deep into this most important knowledge of the universe. So kindly stay with us till the end. But before we start, kindly allow me to pay my gratitude to my Guru. First, before I pay my gratitude to Lord Shri Krishna. So, Om Ram Shri Kanhaiya Lal Sharmaye Namaha. Om Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we open our today's session by paying our salutation, our regards, our charan sparsh, our sashtanga pranam to Lord Shri Krishna. Surrender ourselves on the lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna. Our gratitude in the lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna. Bhaje vrajek mandanam samast pap khandanam swabhakta chit ranjanam sadaiv nandanandanam supicha gucha mastakam sunad venu hastakam anangarang sagaram namami Krishna nagaram. Namami Krishna Nagaram. Bhagwan Shri Krishna says, Antavanta ime deha nityas yokta sharirina anashino aprameyas tasma yuddhasva bharata. Bhagwan Shri Krishna says, only the deha, he's talking about deha. Deha means this physical body, which is perishable. We all know that. And the sharirana. Sharirana is the one who is pervading this body, which is our soul, which is our Atma. Is that Atma is anashino. Anashino means it is indestructible. And it is Aprameyasya. It is immeasurable. And it is nityasya. Nityas. Nityas means it is always there. Nitya. Eternal. Therefore, hey Arjun, yudhvasya, fight as your, because it is your dharma as a Kshatriya to, fight for the righteousness. So you fight, O descendant of Bharat. Bharat he calls, because of his. So Lord Shri Krishna is bringing about more clarity between the qualities of our physical body and the soul, the spiritual soul or the Atma. Lord Shri Krishna says, the only thing that is imperishable is our soul, which is eternal. Everything else dies, including this physical body. Therefore, Arjun, fight, yuddhasya. Like the previous shloka, Lord Shri Krishna introduces another aspect of our eternal essence, that is our Atma. He says it is aprameyasya, unfathomable, or which you cannot comprehend, which is incomprehensible, which is immeasurable. In other words, basically what aprameyasya means is that it cannot be understood by our intellect. Our intellect is finite. It cannot understand, it cannot measure, it cannot comprehend the real Atma. So it is beyond the intellect. We understand so many different kinds of knowledge through our intellect, but Atma is beyond intellect because it is eternal, it is unfathomable, incomprehensible, it is immeasurable, which is beyond the limits of our intellect. Why? Because it is beyond intellect. Aprameyasya, or the indeterminable, means that which cannot be determined by the knowledge of direct perception. You cannot perceive it directly through the senses. It is beyond our senses. You should also notice one thing here, that the eternal essence is denoted as one entity, whereas the bodies are many. My body, your body, we all seem to have different bodies, but the essence pervading all these bodies is one. Now, this has a very profound implication. It means that the eternal essence that pervades all the material objects, including the human bodies, is what? Is one and the same. Now, this is to be understood, that this essence which is pervading within all of us is one and the same. Bhagwan Shree Krishna therefore tells Arjuna, concentrate on your inner self, concentrate on the image of the eternal spirit which is within you, which is immortal. What happens? Our attachment to our material body is the greatest ignorance. Maharshi Patanjali calls it avidya. Avidya, asmita, raga, dvesh, avinavesha, klesha. He calls this ignorance about our true nature is avidya, because we are not aware of our true nature, that we are not this body, we are that one divine consciousness. Lord Shri Krishna is hinting to Arjuna to fight this attachment. And how does this attachment arise? It arises because of our attachment to our senses. So Lord Shri Krishna is hinting not only to Arjuna, to all of us, to fight our senses and to destroy this attachment to the body. That is the crux of this, shloka. Sooner or later, you will be compelled to do that. So it is better you recognize and, disattach yourself from this body. Many a times what happens, even an advanced devotee who has been a yogi, he also fears losing of the body. We have this fear of death. What will happen? It happens when the attachment with the body, makes him temporarily forget that he is the immortal spirit, he is the immortal soul. And this body is not a part of him, just a vehicle which he has got in this life. But a true yogi who has this true knowledge, who is aware of this true knowledge, he has got complete mastery over the body. So much so that, you know, the very atoms of this body will obey his command. And this has been demonstrated. I am not telling you something. This has been demonstrated by many of our ascended masters. You talk of Lord Jesus, talk of Sant Kabir, and many other illuminated masters. They were able not only to give up the body at will, but they also demonstrated its illusory nature, that this is an illusion. And they resurrected the body after death, after dematerializing it into spirit. So this is a proof. You all know the resurrection of Jesus Christ is the foundation of the Christian faith. When Lord Jesus rose from the dead, he confirmed his identity as the Son of God. This resurrection was a real, literal, it was a physical raising of Jesus' body from the dead. Similarly, you must have heard when Sant Kabir, he left his mortal body. So there was a quarrel between his Hindu disciples and Muslim disciples. People from all the religions, they were the disciples of Sant Kabir. So they were all claiming that the Hindu disciples, they claimed that he is a Hindu. So his last rites should be performed as per the Hindu rituals. And the Muslim disciples, they were fighting that, he is a Muslim, so his last rite should be performed based on Muslim, rituals. And they were fighting. It was a war-like situation. Hindus wanted to burn his body, and Muslims wanted to, bury his physical body. Now, according to a legend, at that moment, there came a voice that asked all those disciples to look under the sheet, under the bed sheet where the body was, which was covering the body. And when they lifted that sheet, to everyone's astonishment, instead of his body, there were two flowers. So one flower each was taken by either side, And the two memorials, one from the Hindu side, one from the Muslim side, they have been erected, which have been following their own traditions since last so many hundreds of years. So even in a material war of righteousness, where the protection of the weak is necessary, a soldier, should not be afraid to give up this perishable body. That is the duty of a soldier, to give up his body for the sake of his dharma, for the sake of his nation. Because it is always better to have a death of righteousness than the ordinary ignoble death, a death of ignominy. Arjuna has fought many wars before. This is not his first war. Arjuna has been a Yodha. He has fought so many wars before. So there is nothing new that Lord Krishna is asking Arjuna to do when he's asking him to fight. The only thing Lord Shri Krishna is asking Arjuna is to shake off his worries, give up his worries and perform his duty wholeheartedly, with his whole heart, because there is no death for any of these people in the battlefield whom he's going to fight, because he had this special, emotional connect with his guru Dronacharya and his Pitama, Bhishma Pitama, and because of them, Arjun was, grieving a lot. This was the reason of Arjun's delusion. So, so Lord Shri Krishna said, these are the people who have already followed Dharma wholeheartedly all their life. So even if they die in this battle, they are sure to be liberated. They will get attain moksha. Now, how does this verse help Arjun to overcome his lamentation and material compassion? It helps Arjun in two ways. Because it establishes that the living entity or the soul cannot be killed. This is the first. And second is that no matter whatever you try to do, the material body cannot be saved for any length of time. You can preserve this body for say 100 years, 120, 300, 200. Maybe the yogis, some of the yogis can, prolong their life for 100, 200, 300 years. But at one point of time, this body you have to leave this body. That is why, Arjun is advised to fight the battle and not to sacrifice the cause of Dharma just because of bodily consideration, just because for the sake of this material body. Now, since Bhagwan Shree Krishna concludes this shloka with the word tasmat. Tasmat means therefore. So let's summarize the argument that began in shloka number 11 of this chapter. Lord Shri Krishna tells Arjun, you are thinking that it is wrong, it is evil, it is unlawful to fight against your near and dear ones. That was Arjun's initial delusion. That how can I fight against my near dear one? This is unlawful. This is wrong. So Lord Shri Krishna says, your logic is incorrect. You are missing the bigger picture. Lord Shri Krishna says, I will tell you the correct logic. You should not grieve for them. This eternal essence, this consciousness, the one which dwells in this body, is imperishable. And this is real. Whereas human bodies and material objects are perishable. They are unreal. Then Lord Shri Krishna also says, I will also give you some practical advice, he says. Do not get agitated by joy and sorrow caused by contact with the people, with the objects, with the situation. So do not get overjoyed or do not grieve in case of a sorrow. Because these are temporary conditions. So bear them patiently. Somehow, once you learn to remain stable through joy and sorrow, you will begin to realize the eternal essence. See, what a key he has given to us, that if we are able to remain stable somehow in both joy as well as sorrow, if we are able to maintain that, then we will be able to begin to realize the essence of eternal essence. What a wonderful insight Lord Shri Krishna is giving. And then Lord Shri Krishna says, now that you know that you can never destroy the imperishable Atma or the soul, that eternal essence, so then why should you grieve for the perishable? So get up and fight. Yuddhasva. So then what is the bottom line? No, he says, Arjun, you should not think that you are this human body. This is the biggest mistake we all do. we think that we are our bodies. So you should associate yourself not with the body, but with the dweller of this body, with that all pervasive consciousness, that soul, that eternal essence. Identify yourself with that. It will never get destroyed. So there is no need for grief. Now, there is one more profound meaning which is inferred from this shloka. Now, this shloka gives a pointer to the birth of ego, our ego consciousness. You know, when the eternal essence, which is our one entity, which is this consciousness, when it is in our body, when it starts associating with material objects, then it gets split or kind of fragmented. Then it begins to think that it is limited by whatever the material object it is associated with. And when this eternal essence feels limited to a particular human body, it does everything in its power to maintain a sense of separation from everything else. And that gives the rise to our ego consciousness. You know, ego wants us to be separate, protect ourselves, this identity, this false identity. So this bodily awareness, gets attached to the world around us. So it also fears death. But the wise men who are aware of, you remember that word, sharirina, that was used in the shloka. The one which is residing or which is pervading this body, that is our soul. It does not fear change or death. So the wise men know that what matters is immortal, not the mortal body. So our body is mortal. And so it seeks security and it creates so many boundaries. But within this body is the immortal Atma that does not seek any security. So it does not care for any boundaries. It experiences, life and death again and again. So, by introducing this idea of immortality and rebirth in chapter 2, Bhagwan Shree Krishna, he changes the entire scope of the discussion. The most important lesson of these shlokas of chapter 2 is that, with these explanations, Bhagwan Shree Krishna, he simply renders death as irrelevant. That means death has got no relevance. It is totally irrelevant. It is not a big deal. He transforms this battlefield into one of the infinite experiences of this immortal resident, which we call as Dehi. Dehi is our body, and Dehi is that immortal resident, the soul, which is, residing in this day. That is the Dehi. So he introduces the concept of life after life, Punarjanma. Our immortal soul, or rather, when we say our immortal soul, we are talking of we. So we inhabit various bodies, again and again, lifetime after lifetime. This means what? That this is not the first time that we are experiencing this world. And it is not going to be our last time also. Why fear? The fear of death, that what will happen after death. Lord Shri Krishna hints. So when we are talking of lifetime after lifetime, life, birth, death, and this cycle, that means that this is not the first time we are experiencing this world. And it will not be our last. We have been here before, and we will return again. So it brings to us to a very important concept that our birth in this janma is a rebirth. We have been born many times before, and this birth is just a rebirth. Similarly, our death in this life would be a re-death. We have died many times before. It's nothing new. That is what Lord Shri Krishna is trying to say. Death is irrelevant. The message of Lord Shri Krishna is very clear. No, we have existed before and we will continue to exist even after the passing of this body, in this body. So this knowledge that Aham Brahmasmi, I am the Brahma, which Lord Shri Krishna is trying to tell all of us, is so important that you are the soul. You are, you are that. Aham Brahmasmi, Shivo Aham. This knowledge is so important that this can dissolve all your pains and sufferings of so many janmas. Now you notice one thing, that this is really not a command to fight the battle. What Lord Shri Krishna is telling Arjuna, this is a call to Arjuna. And through him, Lord Shri Krishna, God is talking to all of us. The message is that to discard our defeatist mentality, we should not give up. Like Arjuna, started with grieving, and he had given up. He did not want to fight. He did not want to do his dharma. So Lord Shri Krishna is trying to tell us, you discard the defeatist mentality and face wholeheartedly whatever situations arise in your life. Face them sincerely and wholeheartedly. And at any given moment of time, whatever be the situations and circumstances, do not be a defeatist. Do not give up. Fight. This is the way God speaks to all of us. God does not command us to act in a certain way. God does not tell us that you do this. But when we surrender to God, in our total surrender, He makes sure that all our doubts start getting cleared. So when our doubts are cleared, this enables us to take the right actions, the right decisions, which are in line with our dharma, which are in line with our righteousness. And only those who have this true knowledge, who have surrendered 100% to the divinity, to God, they are able to design an extraordinary life for themselves. So with this, I seek the blessings of Lord Shri Krishna to complete this session. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Jai Shri Krishna. So I'm open to questions. So any questions are there? Okay. Yeah, Anjuji has asked. Anjuji, I can allow you to talk, please. Anjuji, you can unmute and. So I'll request you to unmute and if you can come up on live. Okay, so Anjuji has asked, is there birth after attaining moksha? See, the cycle of life and death continues till the time we realize the truth. Yeah, Anjuji.
Yes, sir.
So your question is there birth
How
after attaining moksha, right?
moksha? Yes.
So, so this entire, cycle of life, death, life, death, life, death, it goes on till the time we are able to realize our true nature. Not only realize, but to start experiencing it. Not just the knowledge, it is the experience of it that matters. The moment we are able to do that, we call it as a stage where it, it is self-realization, or we attain moksha, because then there is no need for us. All this whole cycle of life and birth is to make us understand the true nature of our own self, to discover our own true identity. And then the moment we discover, we merge into this whole consciousness. Just like the waves in the ocean, they merge back into the ocean, and then they have their identity temporarily when they are waves, and then they lose their identity within the whole of ocean. The same way it happens to all of us, all of us. This is that one pervading consciousness. So yeah, there is no birth or life after moksha. But yes, many, you may come back as a great saint, as a teacher, as a, as a prophet of divinity, on behalf of, the God. You may come into this world to teach certain lessons to the people. So in that way, yes, you will still be, in that state of moksha, but you will not incur any karmas in this life. Yes, thank you. Thank
It
you.
means that all the karmas are settled, then only we can attain moksha.
Yes, 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 yes. All the karmas have to be settled. Only then we can attain moksha. You are absolutely right.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that wonderful question. Yes, then the next question is Manish Mishra ji. Can I request you to unmute yourself, Manish ji? And if you can come on video also, it will be Manish Mishra ji. You can unmute and so Manish Mishra ji has asked how we detach ourselves from illusion of materialistic world and search the ultimate truth of life. Now, now we are actually, as Lord Shri Krishna told in this shloka also, and in a couple of shlokas we have been discussing that this identification of our own self with this body, that is at the root of all the problem. This means that our ego consciousness. So when we come into this life, we identify ourselves as a separate entity from all others. I, me, mine. No, this is me, this is mine. Our attachments to not only our body, to our material things around. This is my house, this is my car, this is my material possession, all those things. So why we are doing that is because of our ego consciousness, which is avidya. Basically, the moment we start realizing that no, this we are that part of eternal essence. We are that same one consciousness. As you start, releasing your ego consciousness, then our attachment to material things, our body, it starts going away. And it is then, that we start realizing the ultimate truth of life, as you have mentioned, which we say as self-realization. That is the ultimate truth of life. That is the Kaivalya, that is the stage of moksha. So this identification, that Lord Krishna said in this shloka and so many other shlokas also, of our own self, that, this is, I am this body. So this is, avidya, as Maharshi Patanjali also has said about avidya as one of the kleshas, because of which we suffer so much pains and sufferings in life. So the moment we start surrendering to God, we start connecting with that divine consciousness, making that connection stronger with the divine connection. We start, moving away from ego consciousness. So that is all that is required. So thank you, Manishi, for that wonderful question. So
Hello. Pranam, sir.
pranam, Manishi, pranam. I was trying to get.
Sir, hello.
Yeah,
Pranam, sir.
Manishi, pranam. Did you get your answer?
Yes, yes, sir. I got my answer, but I have one more question.
Please.
In samsara, during attaining our karmas, we have a lot of times we have attending the ego.
Right.
So without ego, how we can did our day-to-day work? Because of it is very essential. Because if we have not doing our job without ego, and we become very innocent, then pupils in materialistic were thinking us foolish, and they have exploiting such type of toxic pupils.
Yeah.
So this is not very.
I understand. This is not only you alone. Almost all of us experience this feeling what you are expressing, and I'm so thankful that you brought. But explanation of this would be a little bit, quite, because you have asked so many questions within that one question. How can we perform that karma, without ego? Is when we, as I told you, when we start surrendering to God, then what Prabhu has called about Nishkam Karma, it just means that whatever we are doing as part of divinity, as part of, so we are not doing it for our own self. Bhagwan ke liye kar rahe hain hum. Whatever I am doing is I surrender it at the lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna. So that is the meaning of doing and surrendering our karma, nishkam karma kind of thing. Slowly we can go to that mentality. See, when you are helping others, when you are giving value to others, when you are helping this divinity in this universe, helping others, then you are in that consciousness of nishkam karma. You are not doing a karma for gaining any material benefit. Material benefit will come anyway. There is not a problem. That has to anyway come, because it is the result of your karma. You have to get it. The only thing is, let us not focus on that. So focus only on giving, only on doing our karma as part of our service to God. That should be our thing first. Secondly, you said that when we start doing that, lot of toxic people, they will start feeling, they can start hurting us also, and they can take advantage of us. You are very right. Now, tell me one thing. See, think properly and answer my question properly. Do you think you can get anything which is beyond your karma? Do you think you can get any result in life, whether good or bad, which is not part of your past karma? You can enjoy the fruits. If you are enjoying a good life, it is all because of your good past karma. If you are experiencing pain and suffering, it has to be because of our negative past karma. Now tell me, can you experience anything? Can the law of karma be violated? आप मेरे को एक चीज बता दो. Is this possible? Manish ji, is this possible that we get any pains and suffering which is not part of our karma or our past karma? Is it possible? You should answer yes or no.
No, sir, it is not possible.
Not possible. Exactly. That. Thank you so much for answering that. So that means anything, any person, uh, who is coming as a toxic person, who is delivering something toxic to us, वो he is delivering, हमको कुछ अपमान दे रहा है, हमको कुछ पीड़ा पहुंचा रहा है, हमको कुछ he is giving some pain and suffering to us. He is only a medium. Let us understand. He is only bringing the fruits of our past karma to us. So why should we blame him? He is bechara. He is just a carrier. He is a courier boy. He is just delivering that karma to us. If he was not there, somebody else would have brought. God directly will not come to us and deliver the fruits of our karma. Somebody he has to make a medium. So these are all our mediums. Whether he is bringing the good fruits or he is bringing the negative fruits. All fruits come to us through some medium, through some circumstance, through some people, good or bad. So kindly, let us not have a kind of blame or with these people, toxic people, our circumstances. We should come out of this and learn lessons of and surrender to God and seek God's blessing to dissolve our past karmas and ask God, itni shakti hame dena data, ki all of my karmas, I should have that shakti to forbear all my karma also in this life. So once you start doing that, you'll find your lot of karmas start getting dissolved, and lot of these people, toxic people, will start moving away because your vibrations, your inner vibrations, when you start raising, when you start surrendering to God, your vibrations start raising. Then these negative, toxic people, they start falling apart. वो आपके आसपास में आएंगे ही नहीं. You must experience this. So hope I've answered your question.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Pranam, sir.
Thank you. Pranam, sir. Thank you. So Anjuji is asking how to completely surrender to God and what steps should we take. So thank you, Anjuji. See, surrender to God, bhakti and vishwas, and this comes. We have to create that love, that longingness towards Prabhu, and realize that once we start realizing that everything what is happening is basically as part of this big picture. I am part of this big picture. I am not a separate being. The moment you start dissolving your ego consciousness, you also start reaching towards the divinity, and both ways. The moment you start reaching out to God, you just have to raise your hands. Prabhu, I am yours. Mere ko. So the moment you start attaching yourself with divinity, your ego consciousness will automatically start reducing down. And at some point of time when our inner heart becomes pure, the God God is definitely, you will feel that he is holding your hands. He's asking you like a baby. He's making you walk on the path that is desirable. So
Sir, I have sometimes felt that.
Yeah, absolutely. So what you have felt sometimes, maybe for a small time during a day, the only thing now is required is to increase the time, increase the duration of time when you can be with God. You have already felt that. You are a divine soul. The only thing now you have to do is to increase that duration of time. That's all that is required. You are already connected to God.
Okay, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir.
Thank you, Anjali. So, thank you, all of you divine souls, for this wonderful, making this session a wonderful, session in the lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna. So, with this, I take leave and Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jai Shri Krishna. Thank you.